Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video for today. So in today's video, let's talk a bit about the quantum computing topic. This has been a hot topic, especially in the past 12 months. A lot of these names are up 500 to 1,500%. Insane returns, especially for those that did buy it early 2024. Of course, since the end of 2024, there has been a lot of hype and a lot of chasing. Now, why is the quantum computing industry gaining so much traction? Well, quantum computers can solve problems in seconds that would take classical supercomputers years. That's revolutionizing sectors like finance, healthcare, logistics, AI, and cryptography. Major corporations and governments are investing in quantum research, and cloud-based quantum-as-a-service platforms are making the technology accessible to more businesses. Venture capital investment in quantum startups hit $2 billion in 2025, with the market expected to reach $4.89 billion by 2029. Now, this might not sound like a lot, but I'm only talking here about venture capital investments. The quantum computing one as a whole could reach trillions in the 2030s. Now, more recently, we've had key breakthroughs include error correction, logical qubit scaling, and integration with classical supercomputing, making commercial applications increasingly viable. And so let's have a look at a couple of names, shall we, in the quantum computing basket. Before doing so, if you enjoy this type of videos, hit all the buttons, would really appreciate that, especially the subscribe one, trying to reach 100,000 subscribers. So hit that red button. It's free, can always unsubscribe later on. And if you want to support me even further, do check out the link down in the description and in the pinned comment with the top 10 best stocks to buy now, or go to fool.com/couchinvestor. Thank you very much. All right, so here you have, of course, the most popular names, right? The IonQ, D-Wave, Rigetti, quantum computing. So IonQ, their focus is on trapped ions. I actually talked about IonQ and Rigetti a while ago on this channel. So if you want to learn more about those specific companies, go watch those videos on the channel. Now, you can clearly see that the revenue outlook for, well, most of those companies here is not much, right? Is not much. And so you expect those companies to be worth a couple of $100 million, right? At most. But as you will see in just a second, that's not the case anymore. And yes, I've put here IBM because, yeah, the more established players also have a quantum computing arm. And that's going to be quite a big focus of this video. Now, if you don't want to bet on specific names, here are two ETFs that already include quantum computing names. Well, one is called the VanEck Quantum Computing ETF, ticker symbol QNTM. And here you can see the number one position is IonQ, 11.8%, D-Wave 9.8%, then we've got Rigetti at 7.3%. Don't ask me why there are some names like Boeing in this ETF or Bank of America, but this is basically the list that you get of the biggest holdings of that ETF. The second one is ticker symbol QTUM. Here, the number one holding at just under 7% is D-Wave. Then number two is actually Palantir, but much lower, 2.49%. Then we've got Rigetti Computing, 2.25%. And the other quantum computing name that you've seen on that list is IonQ at 1.86%. So that was the ETF part of it. Yes, I know, quite strange to see these types of names in a quantum computing ETF, but I guess these things will evolve over time because I don't expect quantum computing to be useful in the next couple of years. And well, every other big tech CEO has said the same thing. Yes, Jensen has first said it won't be, 20 years or something like that. Then he retracted, but it's still not going to be useful. I believe Sundar Pichai said it's not going to be useful for the next 10 years or so. That doesn't mean that we won't hear about quantum computing development for the next 10 years. We've actually been hearing about quantum computing for the last 20 years or something, right? So again, it is something that's going to happen. The question is not if, but when. And that's the thing in investing. When? How much are you willing to pay today for the future, revenue or profits of a specific company? And here's a quote from the CEO of IonQ. I believe IonQ will be the Nvidia player. There will be other people that copy us and follow us. They have always copied and follow us. He also said that he thinks that big tech companies would acquire quantum computing businesses for hundreds of billions of dollars. I think this is a load of BS, but okay, you never know. Right now, if we look at Quantum Computing Inc., QUBT, has a market cap of $1.6 billion, forward sales 1,773. Looking at D-Wave Quantum QBTS, $4.91 billion in market cap, forward sales 321 times. If we look at Rigetti, $3.5 billion in market cap, forward sales 323 times. And the last one here, IonQ, is, let's say, the cheapest of them all at $9.9 billion in market cap, but only 94 times forward sales. So here again, at those prices, you are for sure baking in years and years of future growth. And as I've shown you, the market is expecting these companies to grow revenue in the coming fiscal years faster than the market, much faster than that, right? This is IonQ's expected growth for the upcoming fiscal years. This is the one for Rigetti, and this is the one for D-Wave and quantum computing. So of course, yes, the expected growth is there for sure, but we are still far away from it actually making sense, right? Even if, and I'm looking at the forward sales ratios here, right? Even if they are growing this quickly, it's still insanely overvalued. They're all still burning cash. They all are going to raise more money because they don't have enough cash on the balance sheet. Now, luckily for us investors, there are established companies that are profitable. Okay, might not grow as quickly as those quantum computing names, but at least with those companies, you get exposure to a future of quantum computing. One of those names is here IBM. This is IBM's business segments. Of course, IBM is not growing very quickly. It's actually barely growing 2, 3, 4% or so, but IBM does deal in quantum computing. IBM is rolling out modular quantum systems supporting over 4,000 qubits in 2025, with logical qubits reducing error rates by more than 50%. Its quantum cloud service, QCAS, and global data centers make it the fastest, most diversified play in the sector. IBM's quantum division is growing at 15 to 20% CAGR, and the company offers a stable dividend yield of around 2.5%. They said the following more recently: the AI book of business is already at $6 billion, with 80% in consulting and 20% in software. R&D spend has increased by approximately 60% over the last 5 years. Software is now 45% of revenues, growing at 9%. Red Hat is experiencing mid-teens growth for 2025, up from high single digits last year. IBM has removed $3.5 billion in costs through internal AI deployments, and they are committed to $13.5 billion free cash flow for the year. As for their quantum computing leadership, IBM asserts its leadership in quantum computing, emphasizing the importance of real quantum computers, having built 75 over software simulations. The company has $1 billion in total signings to date in quantum computing. IBM believes quantum computing will solve problems and have commercial advantages by the end of the decade. So here, a little bit more optimistic on that timeline. But yeah, again, IBM might be a boring business, but if you really want that exposure to quantum, why not go with IBM, since it gives you that exposure and it's much safer. Of course, it will not give you a 10x return. But then again, the 10x already happened for some of these stocks. Now, how will they monetize it? Well, IBM offers quantum computing as a service via its IBM Quantum platform, charging enterprise and research clients for access to its quantum systems and software tools. IBM has secured over $1 billion in cumulative quantum business since 2017, largely through enterprise contracts, consulting, and custom quantum solutions for sectors like finance, automotive, and material sciences. IBM develops both quantum hardware, example the Quantum System 1 Heron processor, and the Qiskit open source software stack, enabling monetization through a full stack approach, hardware, cloud access, and developer tools. IBM is investing $30 billion over the next 5 years in R&D, with quantum a major focus. I mean, how can these smaller guys compete? Well, the answer is they don't. Now, again, of course, not everyone deals with the same product or solution in the quantum computing space, but yeah, again, the bigger guys, especially here, I'll give you the example of Microsoft. The Majorana 1 chip was unveiled in 2025, earlier this year. It's the world's first quantum processor powered by topological qubits, a breakthrough for stability and scalability. Now, how will Microsoft monetize the quantum business? Well, first of all, of course, they have Azure. So Microsoft is integrating quantum computing into its Azure cloud, offering access to quantum hardware, simulators, and development tools as a service. Customer pay for usage, similar to other Azure services. Of course, much simpler here when you've got a business like Azure. And just an FYI, Microsoft is already collaborating with national labs and government agencies, for example DARPA, and expects to monetize through large-scale contracts for quantum research and secure cloud services. As for AWS, they debuted its first quantum chip Ocelot using cat qubits for more efficient error correction and scalability. When we talk about cat qubits, it has to do with Schrodinger's cat, right? That paradox, let's say, where a cat can be dead or alive inside that box at the same time. Of course, the moment you open the box and you observe what the heck is going on, well, you'll get your answer. Now, Amazon also has Amazon Bracket. This provides everything you need to build, test, and run quantum algorithms on AWS. So you see here, Amazon Bracket sits actually between Nvidia CUDA-Q, which gives you libraries, programming models, tools, and infrastructure. Then you've got Amazon Bracket. Then on the left side, you've got the simulator, Nvidia GPUs on Amazon Bracket. And then on the other side, you've got the QPU hardware, the IonQ, the Rigetti, so names that we've mentioned before. And here as well, same as Microsoft, how will they monetize it? Well, Amazon will monetize quantum computing primarily through AWS, the cloud platform. The company already offers Amazon Bracket, a managed quantum service that allows customers to access various quantum hardware and simulator on a pay-as-you-go or subscription basis. So here, again, you've got an established player that gets you exposure to plenty of things, right, with Amazon, but it also gets you exposure to quantum computing whenever that will be ready. So you don't have to risk your money with smaller players. Of course, if it's less than 1% in your portfolio, who cares, right? Because it's less than 1%. If it works out, great. And if it doesn't, then it won't really have such a major impact on your portfolio's performance. Moving on to the next one, and this might surprise you, but the next one is actually Intel. So Intel's solution here is called the Tunnel Falls Quantum Research Chip. That's 12 qubit silicon spin chip now available to research partners, paving the way for mass manufacturability. Intel also signed a major partnership with Japan's AIST to develop quantum systems with tens of thousands of qubits by the early 2030s. And Lee Bhutan, the new CEO of Intel, is actually quite fond of quantum computing and he knows quite a lot about it. So keep an eye on that. Now with Intel, the big question here is, of course, how will they monetize it, right? Is this going to help Intel go back up? Well, Intel's focus is on developing scalable silicon-based quantum processors, spin qubits, leveraging its semiconductor manufacturing expertise. As quantum hardware matures, Intel will sell chips to cloud providers, research labs, and enterprises. So in this ever-evolving world, right, with AI, data centers, supercomputers, quantum computers, maybe Intel doesn't need to miss out on the next big wave, right? It clearly missed out on the AI one. It's trying to catch up. Hopefully it does sooner rather than later, but maybe it will be positioning itself to make sure it doesn't miss the quantum one. Because if it can be one of the early suppliers of choice for scalable quantum hardware, then I guess they could strike gold. Moving on to, of course, the big one, the no-brainer here, and that's Nvidia. So Nvidia has a solution called NVA-QC, and that will use Nvidia's GB200 NVLink 72 systems for advanced quantum simulations and error corrections, collaborating with top quantum innovators and university. And then, of course, we've had CUDA-Q, something that I've shown you just before. And here as well, how will they monetize it? Well, Nvidia is building that Nvidia Accelerator Quantum Research Center. The goal here is to enable accelerated quantum supercomputing for research and enterprise clients. Then we've got Nvidia's CUDA-Q, formerly Q-Quantum. It's a development platform that allows researchers and developers to build hybrid quantum classical applications, monetizing through software licensing, support, and integration with Nvidia's GPU. So basically you take whatever they're doing right now, replace that and put quantum in it, and that's how they monetize it. And so here's the big summary. And of course, I did not forget Alphabet. Alphabet with their Willow chip, they also presented that earlier this year. Alphabet is also going to be a huge player, in my opinion, just similar to AWS and Azure. That's how they'll monetize it, through Google Cloud, through their research and all of that. Plus, you've got all the rest of the Alphabet business when you invest in Alphabet, in Google stock, or whether you invest in Microsoft or Amazon or Nvidia or IBM or Intel, right? This is the thing. These companies are, of course, already worth hundreds of billions of dollars, if not trillions of dollars, but they give you that exposure to quantum if you really want it. Of course, with them, you should not expect a 10x or whatnot. Actually, with Intel, you never know what's going to happen if they manage to turn it around. But okay, that's also something that we'll only know in the next couple of years. But my point here is there is a lot of hype around quantum computing, but if you look at the businesses, nothing can tell me that it is justifiable to trade at 300 times sales, 1,000 times sales, or 100 times sales. Sorry to say, it just doesn't make much sense to me. Yes, it has performed extremely well over the past 12 months, but who's to say it's going to perform as well in the next 12 months or in the next couple of years? Because clearly you are paying already years and years of future growth. Now, okay, it's true that maybe some of these companies might get acquired and then you'll get a small premium. Although you never know what might happen from today until the day of the acquisition. Stock can go down more, stock can go up, remains to be seen. But at least with these other players, these more established players, you don't have to risk it much. Now, I'll go back to what I said before. If it's 1% of your portfolio or maybe less, it truly doesn't matter, right? It's one of those bets, one of those long-term bets. It works out, great. It doesn't. Then okay, then there's nothing to discuss here. But I've seen some people say that, oh, I have 10%, 20% of my portfolio in this name or that name. Okay, again, it's your portfolio. You do whatever you want. But if you ask for my opinion, I think it makes absolutely zero sense to have 20% of your portfolio or 10% of your portfolio in some of these smaller quantum computing names. Hype and dreams can only get you this far. And you know what happens? At some point, people will just take profits and you don't want to be the one holding the bag. So there are some possibilities to get exposure to the quantum computing industry, whether it's through ETFs, whether it's through individual stocks or more established stocks that are also working on quantum computing. Yes, I already own some of the most established names. You do probably as well. If you own some of the smaller ones, well, hopefully good luck to you. Do share your thoughts and opinions down in the comment section below. Like, subscribe to all of that, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.